Hey, good morning, everyone. My name is Chris-Beth Cowie, and I am the founder of Empowered Facts and the host of BizGrams. I am super excited to be coming to you today. We have a very special guest, a dynamic entrepreneur who's killing the game in financial literacy, helping people with their financial management. I want to welcome to you today, Harprit Gill. Harprit, how are you doing this morning?
I'm great. Thank you, Chris-Beth. How are you doing? Thank you so much for having me today.
Hey, I am blessed and highly favored, and I am super excited to have you on the show today as well with us. So thank you so much. So Harpreet, tell us, as a financial advisor, educator, community leader, and entrepreneur, how did your entrepreneurial journey start?
Well, you know what? I've had various different businesses that I've started in the past. So my journey has been ongoing for, I would say, the last almost 10 years. But I transitioned into the financial services industry about 3 years ago. My background is actually in community work, youth work. That's what I did for 17 years. And when I did my other businesses, it was around like nonprofits and things of that sort. But I transitioned to financial services because I seen a huge need, and especially really started with myself because I wanted to learn more about mortgages and business loans. And I went to the bank to go speak to an advisor, had an appointment and everything, was hoping to get some of my questions answered. And they pretty much told me to come back when I had about $60,000 in my bank account. And that's when I can sit down at the table to ask questions. And you know what? I never expected that type of experience. Although I know that the banks are not for us, I didn't expect that type of experience. And I think that many of us just go to the bank for everyday transactions. We don't seek advisors, so we don't get those type of responses. But I was really, really disappointed with the fact that I couldn't get any information. And it was so far-fetched having $60,000 in my bank account at that time because I just had $32,000 of debt and really living hand to mouth. And that's when I realized, you know what, I wanted to learn more about money. I wanted to, educate myself. And the more I started educating myself, the more I was just like, why have this information been hidden from us? This is not rocket science. And, a lot of times we think about financial literacy, we think about numbers and we get scared if we're not, good with math and things like that. But financial literacy is all about rules and understanding the rules of money so you can navigate the system to make it more beneficial for you. And the more I started to learn, the more I started to realize like, oh my gosh, I want to do this. And I decided to get my license. I studied for my provincial exams. I'm now licensed in Nova Scotia as well as Ontario and potentially Quebec soon as well. So that's how my journey started. And I really wanted to bring this type of information to everyday Canadians who normally would get ostracized because they're not in the financial positions where they have a huge portfolio of money, to really understand how money works so we can build and sustain our wealth in our communities.
Hey, such a powerful story. And I could tell you about my banking horror stories as well. Being asked waiting in a business line to deposit my check from a customer and being told that I was in the wrong line. And I was like, I'm in the wrong line. My being asked for my card and all of these things. And I'm like, I'm a business owner, so the judgment that's
Right.
oftentimes associated in the banking space, as well as you talk about just that knowledge. Like you would think the bank would be wanting to help more people to enter into this financial arena in a sustainable way, but far too many of us are, hand to mouth, paycheck to paycheck and drowning in debt, I should say. But it is so powerful. And I can honestly tell you that in my journey as well, you talk about you don't have to be good at math, but understanding the rules. That hit me deeply because, I always say, I'm great at math with a calculator beside me, the mental math sometimes is a hit and miss. But, one of the things that I loved, and I share in high school, I failed grade 10 math, but I went on to do math for everyday life. And that math class, I'm like, why didn't everybody get to take that? In that
Yes.
class, I started understanding how to read a receipt, pay, what bills, what taxes look like. It was a very practical thing that everybody, once you leave high school, once you come out of the womb, let's say, your taxes are starting to be doled out against you, right? So
Right.
understanding that. And so talk to us a little bit more about your business around, the financial literacy, management, insurance. What is it? What do you do for customers that come to you?
So in terms of my business, I've kind of streamlined my business into multiple different branches. One aspect is really the education. So for me, it's super important that when I sit down with my clients, that I educate them. So I'd run financial literacy webinars on an ongoing basis, on a monthly basis. Actually, I have webinars going on. They're free of charge. All you got to do is register, sign up, show up, and it's comprehensive. Like I talk about everything from debt to investments to insurance to budgeting and saving. So we cover it all within that time frame. Because for me, I come from that social work background. I come from that mindset of like wanting to build communities, and you can't build communities without providing education in an area that's been lacking for so long. And it's funny that you mentioned earlier, why don't the banks educate us? Wouldn't they want us to know? Absolutely not, because that's not the business of the bank. The business of the bank is to keep us in debt, because that's how they make the most profits. The more debt we're in, the more profits they're going to gain. So it is more beneficial for them for us to be ignorant to these concepts and this knowledge. Then my other aspect of my business is really doing one-on-one consultations with clients, helping them figure out what their goals are, running a financial needs analysis, figuring out where they're at financially currently, what are some of their goals and dreams, and creating a roadmap by taking a look at their current situation to see how we can help them reach their financial goals, whether it's investing, saving, getting out of debt, putting the proper insurance into place, things of that sort. And then I'm also building up my team. I have a team of about 20 individuals currently who are, some of them are licensed already and they're doing their thing, and I'm helping them build their businesses. But then I have other people in the pipeline who are still in the training process, still going through their licensing. But basically, I'm helping other individuals get their license as well, because my mission has been to be able to go across Canada and really revolutionize this industry in a way that's never been seen before. But I'm not ignorant to the fact that I can do that on my own. I definitely don't think that. I need a team of people, hence the reason why I decided to also mentor and pour my energy into people, so that way we can go out there and educate people as quickly as possible. Because right now what's happening, especially like since this pandemic has started, the divide between the rich and the poor has getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And we right now don't feel the consequences of the pandemic yet, because we're still in it. But once things go back to whatever normal is supposed to be, that is when ish is going to hit the fan, and people are really going to feel the brunts of this pandemic financially. And when we go back into the world, there's going to be a storm of jobs that have been eliminated that are never coming back. And it's going to be all about highly skilled individuals to be able to get jobs. And that it means that there's a lot of people who are going to be jobless. And when people are jobless, we know the catastrophic impact that it makes on other aspects of our lives. And so we need to get educated quickly. We need to figure out how we can earn income in multiple different ways, so that way we don't get left behind, because we know that the breeding ground of poverty is crime. That's where crime happens. And if we don't really change things up, we're going to see a lot of negative things happening in our communities. And that's what I really, really want to help to make some sort of social and systemic impact on.
Hey, that is powerful and so much true there. And I think, a couple of years when we met, I think our spirits align, the connection is there, the community, the vision for the community and wanting to pour in and invest in community mentorship. It is truly wonderful what you're doing, Harpreet. And one of the things that, you talked about most of us are not really thinking about the future. What's coming next beyond this back to normal after the pandemic? And you shared there are many jobs, even we're seeing them now, many closures, many jobs
Right.
going away, all of these things where you have this, we talk about it here in our community, this fourth industrial revolution, this age of digital transformation,
Right.
where technology is going to take a strong hold. And the call and oftentimes the conversations that I'm having with entrepreneurs and many of the entrepreneurs that are in the Black community in particular that we see are service-based. And I say, what is your industry going to look like 5 or 10 years from now, right? It is
Absolutely.
going to change. Are you
Right.
getting ready for this? And you talk about that investment into highly skilled professions, even for the employees. You often find, many of community members, community that are in need, taking on precarious jobs, all of these different types of things.
Right.
Those industries are going to be dramatically changed. And I really love what you're doing and the message that you're bringing, and not individual. I love the mindset of you cannot do it alone, in a team, right? And really
Right.
bringing that to the community at the forefront. So tell us a little bit about, the importance of insurance in one's life.
Oh my goodness, I don't even, well, not that I don't know where to begin, but there's just so much to unpack. And, one of the things for myself I can say is before I got financially literate and really started understanding insurance, I used to be the biggest cynic. I used to be like, no, I would never get insurance. It's a fraud. It's a scam. I don't need it. I will never get it. I was talking crap out my backside and talking out of ignorance, and now I really understand the importance. For one, the easiest way to create generational wealth is through life insurance. It is one of the only ways you can pass money on to your next generation without any tax implications. It's 100% going to the beneficiary. A lot of people don't realize that, one thing that I say to people all the time is that the unfortunate realities of this, world that we live in is that we're worth more dead than we are alive. And some people might ask, like, what do you mean by that? So when somebody passes away, one of two things is going to happen. If you have debt, that will get transferred to the next in kin. So it's going to get passed on generationally. Hence the reason why, when somebody dies, you see more poverty being created in the family. It becomes a lot more difficult to be able to get out of that, financial burden because of the debt that gets transferred. Now, let's just say if you have no debt, the one thing that is guaranteed is taxes and death. We still have to pay taxes when we die, and we still have to cover our funeral costs when we die. And funeral, on average, a cheap end funeral is about $20,000. And a lot of people don't realize that when it comes to funerals, that industry is not regulated. They can literally charge whatever they wish. Wealthy people plan their funerals when they're alive. Poor-minded people plan their family's funerals when they're dead. And when your family member is already passed, your back is against the wall, and they can charge whatever they like because it's supply and demand.